Welcome to the Board Wrap-Up Show. I'm your host, Sean Anderson for Ponca City Public Schools. And this is our monthly Board of Education meeting wrap-up show where we go over the details of the latest Board of Education meeting. And we do that with Superintendent Shelley Arrott. And Superintendent, is a June school board meeting, how does that differ from schools in session meeting?
Well, we don't have students for one thing, so
Right.
we don't present our awards and we don't have a student presentation. But just because we don't have students doesn't mean that we are not super busy. June and July are crazy busy just trying to get
Right.
ready for the next school year.
And I'm sure that means that there are certain things that you do in the board meetings during the summer that you wouldn't normally do during the school year, right?
Well, we approve all of our contracts that we need to start with the school year. Mr. Riley, our current board president, had a stack of probably 100 contracts to sign after the board meeting. So,
Wow. Well, Brenda Story started off the Board of Education meeting for June with a budget hearing, a pre-meeting for the
yes, it was a
budget hearing.
separate meeting and it was a budget hearing and she just explained the state of our budget. And thankfully, Ponca City Public Schools, due to past superintendents and good oversight on our funding, we are fiscally sound. So that's a good thing. And as you know, the legislature and the governor have been trying to improve public education in Oklahoma, and that's made a big difference. The only issue with Ponca City is our enrollment is down again by about 200 students.
Oh, wow.
So
That's significant.
it is significant, and it will make a huge difference on our state aid.
Yeah.
So
Well, legislative updates, it's something that a lot of us, me included, we don't particularly understand all of the details. Someone whose job it is to understand the details a little bit deeper is Superintendent Arrott. And legislative updates, what do we know?
well, as you know, the 57th legislature has adjourned, and there were several education bills that were approved and signed by the governor in this legislative session. And a lot of these bills will change our policy. And with our policy writers, we have a school attorney firm that makes sure that all of our policies are updated with the new laws. We will change all of our policies beginning in September, informing our board members, and then they will vote to approve in October. But I wanted to share just a few of those key legislative bills. One of those bills was House Bill 1395, and this was transparency and financial reporting. And public school superintendents have been pushing for this for several years with the development of public virtual charter schools. They did not have to follow the same accreditation standards that traditional public schools followed. They did not have to use the Oklahoma cost accounting system, which is how everything is coded. So a lot of their spending wasn't that transparent. Their board members did not have the same requirements as community school board members. And the biggest thing for us is for a public virtual charter school, they did not have to have the teacher's certificate on file. So what that means is if a teacher decided to go to work for a virtual charter school and they were under contract with us, let's say in February, they could just go because all we could do would be to hold their certificate to keep them from going to another public school in Oklahoma.
And they didn't need it.
They didn't need that certificate
Right.
for a public virtual charter school, and that was hard on us. So that law revised transparency, certification requirement, OCAS data, and that's fine. Our public virtual charter schools do get a lot of our state aid money, but we just want them to follow the same rules that traditional schools
Right.
have to follow as well. So that was a big one for us. We had a bill that changed our state testing dates. Typically in the past, we did state testing beginning the 1st of April and continue through the 1st of May. And with any kind of holidays or bad weather, that limits the instructional time the teachers have with students. So the state testing date has been postponed. We won't start state testing until April 20th of next year. So that will give our teachers more time for instruction. Another bill that was approved was House Bill 1781, and with the severe teacher shortage crises, we can now pay student teachers if they are covering a classroom for us, or if we have a teacher leave and we need to have a student teacher take over, which gives us a little bit more flexibility that we didn't have before. And then the big House bill that was approved was 2765, and it had to do with general state appropriations, and there is about $158 million new dollars that are going to be pushed back into public ed, and that's for general spending and for our flex benefits, our health insurance. It goes up every single year, and the state's going to push money to help schools pay for that increase every single year. And then the big one is the $59 million increase for teacher raises. So here are the guidelines for that. Each certified teacher has to receive a minimum of $1,220 to the base. And some of the qualifications for this are: it cannot be in lieu of the step. This is intended on top of their step raise that they receive every year. It cannot be a stipend or a one-time payment or a bonus. It has to be reoccurring every single year. So the minimum is $1,220, or it can be an average, like you pay a certain group more, like with a certain experience more, as long as it averages $1,220. I know what we will do. Our district and in the stance our board will take, that everyone will get the same raise as far as our certified teachers. There was nothing in statute this time to provide compensation to our support, but I will tell you that our board and admin will take a look into offering our support a raise too. And I'm not saying that's happening, but you know, that's something that we will definitely consider too, because we will consider all of our employees for the raise. Just because the state mandated the teachers, we want to recognize our support too.
Yeah. Well, considering the last few legislative sessions, you have to be relatively happy about this one.
That we are, and it seems that money is coming back into public education. Our revenue is up. For the last 10 plus years, revenue has been cut for public schools drastically, and it's made a big impact on Ponca City public schools and other schools in the state, in that we have cut programs, we have cut electives, we have increased class size. So because of some of these efforts by our legislature, we are adding 7 new positions this year. We are adding an entire team back to West Middle School, one from each core: math, science, social studies, and ELA, English Language Arts. Our classrooms were full over there. And then when we were adding some electives back to the high school that we've had to cut previously. So, hey, things are turning around. It just won't turn around overnight. We'll just have to gradually phase things back in that we have cut previously.
Absolutely. Policy changes with the Board of Education.
This was a big one.
Yeah, this is a big deal. So Superintendent Arrott will explain some of these policy changes.
The one that I want to focus on for this show is our absenteeism policy. The state has redefined chronic absenteeism, and a student is deemed chronically absent if they miss 10% or more of the school year, and that's whether excused and they have a doctor's note or unexcused. So it goes with the Compulsory Attendance Act. Our kids can't learn if they are not here at school. So last year our city wrote an ordinance on attendance that we just kind of experimented with this last year, but actually we are going to roll it out. And when we look at our data, we always focus on instruction, improving instruction, because the teacher has the greatest impact on student learning. But what we saw when we were analyzing data is our kids are absent a lot. We had a lot of kids who were chronically absent. So 10% of the school year, last year we had 167 days. So students could not miss more than 16.7 days or they were deemed chronically absent by the state. Guess how many students, you have to guess, how many students we had that missed 17 or more days?
Percentage?
Number.
A number. 100?
100. We have about 4,800 students. 1,026 students missed more.
Wow.
17 or more days. We can focus on instruction all we want to, but our kids have to be here.
That's
before they
almost a
can learn.
quarter.
It's a fifth. Actually, we have about 5,000
Wow.
students. A little more than a fifth.
Wow, that's
You're right.
Interesting.
It's shocking.
That's
It
powerful.
really is.
Yeah.
So we can't sit back and do nothing and expect different results.
Right.
So we are implementing a new attendance policy. And basically, it's not punitive until it gets to that 17th day, and then we'll invoke the city ordinance. Our Ponca City Police Department will work with us on this. So since this was just approved this last Monday night, we'll get a press release out on it. And we'll keep our parents informed. So I'll talk to you a little bit about the steps. So when a student misses the fourth absence, we're going to send a letter explaining what chronic absenteeism is again. And there are going to be situations in which kids have to miss, and there will be some exemptions, and we understand that. If they're in an accident, or if they're critically ill, or if they have to leave the country for some reason or another. So those things will all be considered, and there will be an appeal process. So let me point that out. On the fourth absence, the principal or the designee, whoever they designate in the school, the principal does, will send a letter to the parent and just explaining everything. So first, form of communication. Then on the sixth absent, we'll notify with another letter, and we're calling it our nudge letter, just to explain this again and maybe show a graph of their students' attendance versus the rest of the population's attendance, because graphs are powerful if you can see that your child is missing more than everyone else. And then just another form of communication. And then on the eighth absence, we're going to schedule a face-to-face conference with the parent to explain the rules and the guidance and just one other piece of communication. And then on the 12th absence, we are going to have another face-to-face meeting with the parent, and this time will involve either the school resource officer or a beat police officer. We'll have them sit in on the meeting, and if needed, they may give a warning in regard to the city ordinance and compulsory attendance. On the 16th absence, on the 12th absence, let's go back to that. We are going to work with the parent, kind of form some kind of contract. What can we do to make sure that the student is in school, and what can you do to make sure your student is in school? So we're really just trying to work together here. Then on the 16th absence, we're going to send another letter with all the meetings that we have done. Then on the 17th absence, the parent will be issued a citation by a Ponca City police officer. So now there will be an appeals process, if there are some outlying issues that we understand that parents can avoid, and we won't penalize them with the city ordinance in regard to attendance.
Sure.
So.
And this is for all grades.
This is pre-K is not compulsory. Okay. And interestingly enough, I was really shocked about this, but when I was analyzing our attendance data, we had 33%, a third of our pre-Kers who missed 17 or more days of school. And to me, that's just shocking. Parents
Right.
know that it's non-compulsory, so they don't feel that they have to be at school. But here's the thing: if they don't have those pre-K standards mastered, they're not going to be ready for kindergarten, which
Right.
causes a gap in learning. So we will not invoke the city ordinance for pre-K since it's not compulsory, but we might come up with some other kind of steps
Yeah.
just to keep that communication line open. So basically, that's all it is. We're being proactive rather than reactive on our attendance.
And important, just imperative for all grades, but those early foundational years,
Without doubt.
especially. My goodness.
Without doubt.
Yeah. Well, there was an action taken by the Board of Education to accept a bid from Ross Transportation, and this is pretty cool.
This is cool. We are going to have our first alternative fuel school bus. There was an emissions lawsuit where a company had failed to provide data regarding their emissions. So there was some grant money out there. And Mr. Smith, Brett Smith, our operations director, wrote a grant. And the grant will actually pay for half of an alternative fuel school bus. So our school bus is going to be a 77 passenger school bus, and the alternative fuel is propane. And it's not like the propane in it's really safe and really regulated. I know there's going to be some concern there. We're going to have a propane filling station at our transportation department. So the bus was, I believe, $84,000, and the grant paid for half of that. So anytime we can get a new bus for $40-something thousand, it's
a bargain.
It's a bargain.
Yeah.
So that was the bid from Ross Transportation that was accepted.
That's fantastic.
It is.
Do you see that being the trend among school districts
I would
moving
imagine.
to alternative fuel?
I would imagine.
Yeah. Applications for the summer food service programs.
These have to be approved, and as you know, we do summer feeding, and we have several opportunities this year. At West Middle School, we're doing lunch only for our students, 11:30 to 12:30 every single day. So Ponca City Public School students that would like to eat lunch with us at West Middle School can do that. We're also providing breakfast at Union Elementary. We're doing extended school year at Union right now, and it's over at 11, so we're not going to provide lunch, but our ESY students will have breakfast from 7:30 to 8, and then we're also doing a program at the University Center to go along with their Lego camps, and it's breakfast and lunch.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Awesome.
There were contracts to discuss at the June Board of Education meeting. What kind of contracts are we talking about?
Oh, just our typical contracts, our contract with our auditor, our architect, tons of educational software programs that we use, our insurance company, our workers' comp company. We contracted with a psychometrist who does testing for us. We contract with her every year. Copier maintenance. One new contract that we did was with MimeWare email protection. And unfortunately, in this day and age, there are so many breaches in your security of your technology. And I don't know if I've shared this with you, but last year, our payroll got compromised. And so, not major, but we want to avoid any further issues. And there's more and more fraudulent issues with software. People are hacking in and accessing information. So this was just an additional contract to protect our people.
Oh, good. The Howl project, you took action to accept a guaranteed maximum price for that. What is the Howl project?
We did.
And
the Howl project is we are remodeling the Howl auditorium at the high school. And in this project originally, we were going to put a new elevator at the high school. We didn't have we only had one person bid that, and they were wanting to charge double the price, and we didn't think that was being a good steward of our funds. So we're going to hold off on the elevator, but we're replacing the seating in the Howe Auditorium and doing some other repairs there. But another big thing that needs to be done, and our teachers will be thrilled about this, we are replacing the seating in West Middle School. I think it was the original seating from the 50s, and it was not comfortable.
Right.
And we did a lot of training in that building. So.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Executive session.
Executive session, obviously, I can't talk about that, but we just talked about.
But it did happen.
We had an executive session,
Right.
so all those minutes are kept documented. But we did have an executive session, and it was relatively short. And then I wanted to do a couple of project updates.
Yes, please.
Okay, so a lot of our patrons can see that we're completing the north side of the fencing at Solon Stadium. It's going to look finished, and it's going to look amazing. People may have seen some big cranes around the district. Many of our roofs need to be replaced. We had some hail damage back in 2016. We're working with our insurance company, and we're doing some emergency repairs right now at Ponca City High School, East Middle School, and at West Middle School. So people may see a lot of materials. It's roofing materials. The cranes came in and took the HVAC off the building so that we can get to the roof for the repairs. We are doing a project at the farm, the FFA farm. You know, we have about 190 kids who participate in FFA. It's a huge program for us, and there needed to be some repairs there. We're doing a new HVAC system in the classroom portion. We're insulating one of the barns and putting a concrete flooring in the middle of the pig barn. We did some work to the road, and then we're going to do some work to the perimeter.
Good.
So, and then finally, the last project is the secure entrance at the pre-K center. It will be ready to go before school starts.
Yeah, very good. Personnel updates.
Well, really busy with personnel right now. We've got some new principals. Jennifer Dye is going to be the lead principal at Union Elementary. Stacy Satry is going to be the lead principal at West Elementary. Tina Fisher is going to be the lead principal at the pre-K center. Then we had a couple of new assistant principals. All of those people I named are all inside candidates. They are current PCPS employees. We've also hired Keith Crocker. He's our jazz band conductor. One of our band conductors is going to be an assistant principal at East. And then we have hired an outside candidate, Kathy Bible, who has a lot of years experience, who will be an assistant principal at West. And as of this 10 seconds, we have 14 open positions we need to fill. And just to give you a little bit of information, there's a law in regard to teachers' continuing contracts. Teachers are on a continuing contract. They have to let districts know within the first 15 days of the first Monday in June if they're returning or not. Last week was a hard week on us. We lost 6 certified people. So we have teachers have until Tuesday, June the 18th by close of business, or we can hold their certificate. Now, we've done that before. We've held this certificate until we can find a replacement. We've always been able to find a replacement. But again, the teacher shortage crisis is tough.
Making that difficult.
Do I think it's going to get better? Yes, as funding gets better, but we've got to get some education majors in the pipeline. So it could be 4 years down the road.
All right, Superintendent Arrott, thank you so much.
Oh, you bet. Enjoyable.
That is going to be the June Board of Education wrap-up show. Thank you for watching. Until next time.